couple of weeks ago, I got diagnosed with a heart condition. So I'm thinking of taking a step back,
So what's your future plan now?
getting a nutrition, getting a fitness trainer. I've been trying to focus on the fitness and health aspects.
Since you work with many creators, what is the future for the influencer marketing?
Creators becoming entrepreneurs are the next thing. I was speaking to a fitness creator today only in the morning. I was telling him that I'm in Dubai and I'm meeting you, and I was just talking about TYV. I was telling him that these are the kind of things that will happen in India by a fitness creator. Probably you can be the next Yasir Khan of India, building such a big gym and all that.
Welcome to Against All Odds with Yasir Khan. Today I have Ayush Shukla, who is 23 years old, and at the age of 22, he actually earned 15 crores rupees. Did I say it correct, Mr. Ayush?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. The company did make 50 crores the first year.
So you own a company, influencer marketing company, which is called Finnet Media.
Finnet Media.
Okay. And where is your office right now?
It's in Bombay, Mumbai, India, Mumbai.
That's amazing, man. That's quite an accomplishment actually at the age of 22. I mean, it's not about the money over here because I am chasing that mindset. I would love to know in this podcast was your action and the thought process. And of course, you must have gone through a lot of struggle and hardships and everything. So I would like to know all of that today. So tell me about yourself and tell me about your childhood.
Like, a lot of people ask me where am I from, and I have no answer to that because I was born in Nagpur. I spent 6 years there. Then 7 to 18 I spent in this small city called Talcher. It's actually 100 kilometers from the capital of Odisha, Bhubaneswar. So, and I'm from Bhopal. My mom is from Bhopal.
Man, we both are from the same place.
Yeah, like Arena colonies.
Yes.
Where I spent all my summer vacations. My mom is a Gujarati as well. My dad is from UP. So it's been a mixed thing.
Yeah.
After school, in fact, at 18, I went to Delhi. 18 to 21, I spent in Delhi, 3 years in Delhi University. I studied economics there. 21, 22, I spent in Bhopal, Bangalore, mixed. I was in Bangalore for 9 months, and then now I moved to Bombay. So I'm based out of Bombay now. Yeah.
So how was your childhood?
Childhood, I would say, Talcher, the city where I did all my schooling and all that, it was a very, very remote area. Like, imagine India and then imagine the tier 3 of India. That's where I lived. There was just 2 badminton courts. Like, I played badminton district and states, and the only thing I was fascinated at, during school 8th, 9th was badminton. And there was just 2 badminton courts, 2 schools, that's it. So I think childhood was very restricted. In Talcher, there was a saying that there's only 3 things that there is in Talcher. That's studying, studying, and studying. There's nothing else.
That's it.
That's it. There was nothing else to do. So I think exposure-wise, it was very limited. I was just lucky because, my family, extended family, my brothers and mamas and all that they lived in South Africa. So I did one trip at the age of 11. I was in class 5th or 6th. That's when I got a culture shock. Like, wow, there's a world beyond this small city culture. And I was very mesmerized. I still remember the 2 months I spent in South Africa. I think that was a pivotal moment during my childhood where, in the back of your mind, there's this reminder that there's much more beyond the city you live in. So I think during school, while I was in Talcher, it was all about studying and trying to figure a way out to get out of the space. Because I didn't come from a very well-off place that I can, just my dad can sponsor my money and I can go to Delhi or like Bombay, which are supposedly tier 1 of India. So I think childhood was a lot of restriction, a lot of just focusing on studies, not a lot of exposure, not knowing what all you can achieve. And there's no limit. Like right now, I know there's no limit. I can do anything I want. But back then it was like, you're in a small shell. Just like, I was told that my dad's a doctor. So I was like, till 8th, 9th, I was supposed to be a doctor. Then in 10th, it was a shocker to everyone in the city that I didn't take science. In small city, everybody knows everybody, right? So my dad was famous because he was a doctor and all that. So I took commerce and everybody started looking at me like, oh, he's a failure and all that. In 11th itself, because I didn't take science, I took commerce because I was more interested in business. So then in 11th, 12th, I did commerce. That's where I think I pivoted to studies as an escape to get out of the place. So I stopped my school and district in 11th. I topped in school and district in 12th so that I could get into the top college of Delhi, which is called Sri Ram College of Commerce.
Okay.
So post 12th, I went to Delhi. And that's where I think the next phase of life started. But like childhood was like that, yeah.
Amazing. So when you went to Delhi,
Yeah.
what actually inspired you, and what actually that trigger point that you thought like, no, I want to do this, and this is what my life is going to be.
Right. So I think when I shifted to Delhi at the age of 17, 18, I used to live alone. So it was a big shift because till school it was all family, everything, was rosy and all that. But in Delhi, suddenly from tier 3 you're moving to tier 1. And I didn't like taking money from my parents. I remember my rent was, I lived in a 1 BHK in Delhi. It was 13,000. And that was actually a lot of money. I didn't make any money, so I took my money from dad. And whenever they used to pay me or like transfer money, I didn't like it. And whenever I used to go to college, suddenly I saw so many things beyond studies. Like my passion for badminton was reignited because there's so many badminton courts I used to play with. IIT Delhi folks there. There were college society concepts in Delhi. There are a lot of economic societies and there's entrepreneurial societies, and there was this society called Enactus, which is a social entrepreneurship society. So I took part in all of them. I was low on confidence at that time, but I think my natural instinct, a natural movement were towards those activities, co-curricular, which I couldn't do during school. Just actually that child in 9th, 10th, who would do all these things. I couldn't do that. So in college, I was doing that. And right from a topper scoring like 97% in 12th, I went to like a average CGPA 7 type guy. I didn't study at all in college, but I didn't mind it, to be very honest. Like
Because you were enjoying it, you were doing what you wanted.
100%. So I enjoyed leading the societies. Like I would, reach out to folks. I would raise funds for societies. I would go out to different colleges and participate in the speaking competitions and all that. So I think that's where I realized that I don't think like study or like, the nerdy stuff is for me. Like I was studying economics, and economics had a lot of maths and all that, and I enjoyed that. But I was moving towards this aspect, like the media aspect of things, or, the team leading. I like when people are around me and I'm leading them and I'm doing something meaningful. So I think that pivot I realized. And at the same time, because I was living alone, it was a little challenging because that forced me to make my own money. So back when I was 18, 19, I was in college and I was leading the societies. I had opportunity to make money. So I was freelancing, I was interning, and at the same time, I was trying to raise funds for my societies. And we used to get commission out of, for example, if there's an event and we raised 50,000 rupees, we'd get like a 10%, 15% cut out of it. And that was actually good enough for me to pay the rent. That's where that, the cycle came in. I understood the importance of money. And I think I stopped taking money from my dad since like 20, I think. So yeah, that was a college.
That's what in the college. And what kind of friend circle you had at that time? Because I've never been to college, so but I have seen many people that some people they build their life while being in college. Some people actually destroy their life while being in college because of the kind of society and the kind of circle they have. They are looking into parties, they are looking into relationships, and so early when their life is not even sorted. They don't know what to do when it comes to work or when it comes to business, job or business, anything. How were you at that time? What was your mental state?
Right. I think I was a little overwhelmed when it came to the typical Delhi folks. They were very confident. They used to party. They had cars and all that. So, but fortunately or unfortunately, I was never swayed away by it or taken aback by it. I never wanted to please them or go to them and be a part of that gang and all that. I was actually comfortable in my zone. My zone was personal growth. I wanted to grow, be it in terms of speaking, being in terms of transforming myself to an introvert, to an ambivert, or just spending time with, people who are interested in growing. So that I tried to surround myself with those kind of people. But to be very honest, in college, I couldn't find them as well. Like even in college, I felt, and it's not coming from a place of arrogance, but it's coming from a place of like, I didn't find them ambitious enough. All my college folks and peers were interested in, doing that typical job, getting a degree and then moving to a MA in economics or doing a IM, MBA and all that. So I didn't relate much. So in college, I was actually a lone wolf of sorts, like, would be sidelined. Even though I was with like 10 people, I'd still feel alone because I couldn't relate to them.
Yes.
They would all be talking about MBA and all that. I was like, I don't want to do that. But at the same time, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't, no party. I didn't relate to it. Even if they called me, it just never came to me naturally. I'm not.
So what were your habits that you developed at that time? And if you say like you were alone, what were you doing in those days?
Right. So I think I used to go to college. College used to end by like 3, 4 p.m. Once that was done, the most common activities I did, I started creating content.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been a creator since 2018. So I started my podcast.
Okay.
It's called Mini Adult Troubles. So I was 19 when I started my podcast, and as the name suggests, I was a mini adult and I had a lot of troubles. So I actually started a podcast just reaching out to people. So I got admission in this college called College of Vocational Studies, University of Delhi, and it's not the best colleges of Delhi. So I thought that my peers are not good enough for me to grow. So what I did was I started creating content on LinkedIn. I started a podcast, and then I would reach out to people who are way smarter or founders so that they would sit in a 1 hour, 2 hour conversation. Because whenever I used to reach out to people, they wouldn't talk to me because of course I'm 18, 19. There's no value add from my end. But if it's a podcast, people would be more happy to like
Yes.
talk. So I found that hack, okay, this podcast is a great way of reaching out to people on LinkedIn. They would happily agree to me. And then that 2 hour conversation, to be very honest, was more like a personal consultation.
Yes.
They would ask questions me or the other folks would relate to. That's how I did my podcast. I think most of my time went to content creation. It went to societies that I was talking about. I used to prepare a lot of speeches back in the day for an actors. It went in writing scripts. I used to consume a lot of content of Nas Daily back in the day, actually. And then I started learning. I interned in this e-commerce company. This is the time when drop shipping was starting to get cool. I learned performance marketing. I did that job internship for 3 months, and then I started my own e-commerce. So I also started drop shipping. I did it for 4 months. I made $10,000 in revenue, and I was profitable on paper, but I realized that I was in loss when it comes to the bank account. So I stopped doing that. I lost like $2,000 there. And from there, I thought I can use this skill. I freelanced for a lot of clients. I was doing performance marketing. I was running ads and selling their products and all that, and I was making some money, which would be enough to just pay off the rent, eat my food, and all that. And I did TEDx. So I organized 3 TEDx's in my college. So I organized the first TEDx, in fact, of my college. So because of that, again, I met a lot of interesting people. In fact, the first podcast I did was with this fitness influencer in India called Yash Sharma Fitness. I recorded a podcast with him, and then I called him to my podcast, and that's how my creator network also started to grow. So I think I did a lot of things but college. So I did a podcast, I had a e-commerce startup, I interned, I was freelancing, I was creating my own content. I did anything and anything that I could put my hands on.
And you were 19 years old at that time.
Yeah, I was 19.
Amazing. That's so you have utilized your teen with the right things in the right place. So and after that, like how when you started like getting success, or when you started building the life you always wanted, how did you move forward with that? And you were still in Delhi.
I was still in Delhi, yeah. So I graduated in 2020 when I was 21 years old. And this is the time when things were not going well, actually, because COVID had hit and I was alone in my house. I was doing everything on my own. I had actually been to the US in January of 2020 for a month. I got a scholarship at Harvard, so I spent 1 week in Harvard, 3 weeks in US. So at that time, there was another culture shock that I had. Like I remember I used to walk at 50th Avenue in New York, and I would look at buildings like this, and they would make me feel like this small. So that would, reignite my ambition. So when I came back to India, it was actually February 21, and COVID started on 25th. So I was just 4 days away from it, and I was trapped in Delhi. This is the time I tried to, up my performance marketing game and freelance. I was very hand to mouth. And in fact, at December 2020, I left Delhi and went back to Bhopal because I couldn't afford staying in Delhi any longer. So I was making 25,000 a month and I was spending 25,000 a month. So I actually got scared, like, I don't think this is sustainable. And I would do anything but ask for money from my parents. So I thought I would rebuild myself, figure things out while going back. So I went back to Bhopal in January 2021. This is the time when Instagram Reels also came in. I was creating content, but was not successful at all. I had like 2,000 followers. And that's when I also started thinking about the influencer marketing agency. Because of the podcast, I was in touch with a lot of founders and I was in touch with a lot of creators. And a few creators reached out to me, which was surprising that like they had like 10,000 followers 2 years ago, which is a big deal. Today it's not. So they would reach out to me for help because they saw me on a podcast with a big creator. So they thought I knew something. So they would take my help. They would ask me for brand deals and all that. So I figured that there's a market for this. So I started onboarding creators. Anushka Rathod, she's a finance creator. in India. She's like 1.5 mil followers. She was my first creator which I onboarded at 5,000 followers. And that's how things started to begin.
Oh, nice. That's amazing. So when you were like reaching out to these LinkedIn influencers and all that, did you face rejections? Did you face like, oh, you're just a kid, I cannot come on your podcast or anything?
All the time.
You faced it. So how did you face these situations?
I think it's a problem of like whenever people, like, in fact, it happens today as well, like I would do a brand pitch and they would look at me and I don't even look 23. The bad part is that I can't get mustache and beard and all that, so I look like 20, 21-ish. So a lot of people advise me to just grow a beard. But yeah, it happens a lot that people would look down upon you because of your age. But I think how I solve for it, or I try to solve for it, is from content. Like, because I've seen that when people see already before interact, for example, if somebody comes to me and they tell me that, oh, I've seen you on LinkedIn or I've seen you on Instagram, their bias of age goes away. So I try to solve for it by creating more content and showing my expertise via content. So for example, whenever I'm reaching out to somebody new, I would at least send them a case study deck or send them a drive link. If they open, they should be impressed. If they're not, then there's more work that I need to do. But usually 8 out of 10 times they're impressed. And that time, the age is actually an advantage, because then they associate that age with the work. They're like, okay, 23-year-old has done so much work, he must know something, etc., etc. And then influencer marketing is obviously like a 4-5-year-old niche, and I've been there for like 3-4 years. So I'm pretty advanced in that. So I think that is the advantage that I'm trying to work upon. And I don't look at the negatives, to be very honest. Like I believe in like keep moving forward. Like I have a tattoo. This is move forward. So I'm like, if it doesn't work out, there are more opportunities. And it has a lot of time it has happened that they come back to me. So yeah, just keep moving forward. Don't look back. That's how I see it.
Exactly. So after this, the podcast, now, of course, this was 19, 20, and then 21.
Yeah.
Then you are coming towards the time when you actually mean like 15 crores rupees, which is like big numbers for someone who is 22 years old.
Right.
And that too by actually creating something. And then you made money out of that. So what was that? What exactly you did?
I onboarded Anushka, right? Like, so that's how the start of the journey was. This is January, February of 2021. So I saw the opportunity, the finance niche. So in 2021, I'll tell you 2-3 things happened. Number one, COVID was happening, so everybody was sitting at home. Number two, finance awareness and education was a priority in India because the stock market were booming, because the US investors were putting money. Like in retrospect, I can like break it down, but this is what's happening at that time. Like US investors were putting money in Indian markets. So Indian markets are going up. People wanted to know about finance. People were sitting home. So the demand for finance content boosted. And when I onboarded Anushka and Sharan, my first 2 creators, I realized that this is a blue ocean. There is not a lot of competition. There were influence marketing agencies, but in lifestyle, fashion, and all that, there was no one in finance, there was no one in business, there was no one in entertainment. So I onboarded Anushka, I onboarded Sharan, and I thought that this is a good place to be in. So I started onboarding more. So basically, today, like 80% of the finance creators of the country are with me right now when it comes to India. That is because I saw the trend at that time. And I think since then, it's been a proper journey of learning business fundamentals, client management. I thanks to LinkedIn, I thank LinkedIn a lot because I've been creating a lot of content there. I reached out to a lot of brands there. So LinkedIn became my brand sales outreach platform, and Instagram became my creator outreach platform. And I've merged when I was in a unique position because, again, I had experience of being a creator because I've been creating since a year or 2 years. And I had the experience of brand because I've done performance marketing. So I was also at a very unique position because of my random experiments that later came to benefit me. So like 6 months down the line itself, like I left Bhopal in August of 2021 because I thought that this is the time. Like I in fact did a job as well. Like I mentioned, right? Like I left Delhi because I wasn't able to sustain myself. So I did a job for 1.5 months in a tech company called Surasa, which is again based in Dubai. But while I was 15 days deep into this agency, I just resigned. I actually got COVID in March 2021 and I got a 15-day leave because of that. And I was so happy. That made me realize that this is not for me. Like on 16th day, I was like, boss, I'm really sorry. I don't think I can do this. And I left that job without any savings, any money, all that matter. I didn't care because
you were in Bhopal that
I was in Bhopal at my home at that time. And March to July, 3 months, I worked, I onboarded creators, I reached out to brands, I built a team,
And you were still in Bhopal.
I still in Bhopal.
Okay.
In August of 2021, just I turned 22 and I left Bhopal. I was hopping cities. I traveled Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore for 6 months. I didn't have a base. I traveled, just met people, met creators, onboarded them, did business.
But did you think like this was the time when COVID happened and there was like no surety of any business?
Right.
Anything, whatever you're going to create may work, may not work.
Right.
So how did you face these challenges?
I think I just have a weird sense of self-confidence. Like it might come from a sense of self-obsessedness, I think, but I just have confidence. I think whenever things are not going my way, I have this sheer willpower or something. Like I just feel, I don't know the steps to it, but I would feel like I think I can do it. That's me. Like I think I'm made for it. So that's what I keep telling myself. Like there are still moments, in fact, like when I feel that this might go away and all that, but I just keep telling myself that I am made for this. So I think that's the mindset that I follow. And I think nothing to lose. Like I'm pretty practical at the same time. When I left the job and I left Bhopal, I had what, couple of lakhs here and there. So if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. I could go to my home again, find a job, do something. That the downside was not that bad, is what I figured. And to be very honest, it's the first time I'm thinking about the downside. I did not ever want to do a job. And so for me, the only way out was making it work. And I was confident that I could, and I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you moved to Bombay and over there, of course, you have got like, I think 2, 3 people working with you. So then how did you decide like, okay, what are you going to create? Since you had the idea, okay, you want to create business content and financial.
Right.
So how did you, like, of course, it must have taken time, or did it just like, boost like from the first?
Bangalore, this was November. From August to November, just traveling cities. 7 months into starting the company, I was sort of well off. 7 to 8 months, I had a team of 3-4 members. I had onboarded 15 creators. I was working with at least 20-25 brands. And it was the right place at the right time because US investors were coming to India. A lot of fintech startups were booming. There are a lot of fintech startups in Bangalore. That's why I moved to Bangalore to take advantage of that uptrend. And then all things came in place. I wasn't able to create content. I was not a successful creator. But so I blew up suddenly in November, December. I was at like 10,000 followers. I went to 50,000 followers in November, December. At the same time, at LinkedIn, I had like 20, 30,000 followers. So at this time, people started knowing me and my work. So the inbounds increased a lot. So whenever there was a finance brand, they would know that, okay, Ayush or Finnet is the people that we need to go to. So when I moved to Bangalore at that time, like I could feel that now things will come to me, and things were coming to me. I couldn't reach out to people. I was overwhelmed with work at that time. And that is where I hired a team from 3, like 7 people. We suddenly went to like 7 people, 8 people. I remember I was telling my interns to join full time now. So all things.
Your team, your colleagues who you work with, are they the same age as yours, or they are elder than you?
4 people are elder than me, but now, like at that time, they're all like my college juniors and my colleagues and all that, like the same 21, 22, 23-year-old.
And especially this field is like such an, I'm not talking about this is like a food or fashion or, makeup or fitness or anything, any other field, which is like the youngsters as a creator or, the brands you work with. Here you're talking about like some very senior people, and it's such real money. It's business, right? It's a serious business, and you are being so young. How do you deal with these brands and these people who order you or ask you to do something or have a project or campaign, and you need to create content for them? So you need to have actually some level of understanding, and your mind needs to be aligned at that level. So you need to have a lot of maturity in this, right? This is not something it's not a child's play.
100%.
But you being 22 years old at this time, 21, 22, how did you become or, hold on to yourself and actually took this responsibility so seriously? Because, when you're dealing with such serious and real money, it's a lot of responsibility, and the more money is involved and the more experienced people are involved, there's more risk as well, because if you will not do the job, you're just going to waste someone's time, which value way more than money.
Right.
And at that time, the responsibility is all on you.
Right.
So how did you deal with such situations?
Right. I think, again, I've been fortunate to be surrounded by the right people because of the podcast. The initial podcast that I did, I was in touch with a lot of senior folks from the finance sector. I was in touch with senior agency guys who have done the agency business for like 8-9 years. So I'd always end up speaking to them whenever I was in crossroads. They would help me out. The creators that we onboarded, we never onboarded any creator who would be a random 20-year-old creating finance content who had no idea what he's talking about. All the creators that we have onboarded are either certified or know what they're talking about. That's why we are restricted. Like when I say the 30 creator number, it's very less. 30 is not a lot of creators, but these 30 are niche. The 30 know what they're talking about. So whenever we are working with a fintech brand or a crypto brand for that matter, which is even riskier, we make sure that we understand the product. So we used to set up calls with the product team of the brand and the creator. And whenever we feel there's a disalignment between a creator and a brand, the creator does not know what he's talking about, we'd not do a brand deal. In fact, last week I got a brand deal for my page, and they wanted me to promote something I had no idea about. And I said, like, boss, this is out of my league. I can't just promote it because I don't understand it. If I promote it and somebody loses money, as you mentioned, it's a high risk. And we have made mistake. Like we promoted a crypto brand last year, which burst. It wasn't a scam, but like last year crypto went down, right? Like everything in crypto, 80% of the crypto stuff went down. And because of that, a lot of our fintech creators and the finfluencers back in India were scrutinized. Media was talking about it. It was all over Twitter and we faced a lot of backlash. So, I mean, we learned out of it. I think here, what you can do is take educated decision. The intent should be right. I still don't blame myself or the creators for promoting the brand because that brand was sponsored, like funded by Sequoia and the biggest the companies. So it's like if from Indian context, if Tata fails tomorrow, you can't blame the people working in Tata or who promote it. That's just business then.
It's just business.
Yeah.
You're just like you have associations, but it doesn't mean that. And I think failures of one brand is never just about one person.
100%.
It's a lot of different areas are involved in that.
100%.
So that's how you have taken the responsibility. And share something about, like, when you have done phenomenally good.
Yeah.
And like when you're young, and even in this age, is like, even if you buy a good jeans or you buy a good watch or a t-shirt, is like you have excitement.
Yeah.
So how did you deal and face those excitements, the positive side of being in this in the business, that when you actually have done so well and you have been rewarded like with a lot of money, how did you face that first time?
I think I'm being from a middle class background. I've never ever taken that, from a flashy sense of things. Like I don't still own a car. I'm gonna get a car now because I need it for the business, for meetings and all that. But my way of looking at money has been from a sense of enabler. Like money at the end of the day is enablement, right? Like it helps you reach point A to B, or like it helps you. It's so much power if you look at it from people's perspective. Like right now, all my money, there are two, the company money and my money. 90% of my money is just invested. It invested in crypto. I recently bought my family a house because they wanted to shift to Jaipur. So we are moving our base from Bhopal to Jaipur. So money for me is spending on others. Like whenever I spend on myself, I think 10,000 times. Like I was just telling Neet yesterday, like cabs in Dubai is so expensive, and I would choose the cheapest Hala taxi and all that.
Yeah.
So I think having money and spending money are two different things. I don't look at, I don't spend thrift, or like I don't just spend randomly on expensive stuff and all that. For me, it's about how I can grow that money and impact other people's life. Like I take pride in saying that even my team members, I pay them pretty high compared to the industry standards, and I want them to earn more because I want the best out of them as well. Like if it has to be a win-win situation. It can't be like I'm making so much money and they're not making it.
Exactly.
So I think that's how I look at money. And now my focus is moving towards reinvestment into businesses. Like I'm not a business. I don't come from a business family. So I'm learning how to do business as well. Like, again, because of like I have invested in around 11, 12 companies, and it's from a perspective that I want to invest and be in touch with the founder. It's not that I want 100x or 10x or 5x of that money. If it's gone, it's gone. Like I invested in this company called Burma in India. It's a Burmese restaurant chain, and the founder is a Marwadi businessman, right? And you would understand this, but like he understands business like anyone in India would. And I'm so glad I invested in that money because I have one-on-one access with him. I learned so much with him, and he's teaching me right now how to run businesses. Like I follow everything that he tells me. Like I'm getting an office now. I've hired a couple of consultants who are teaching me KPIs, KRAs, business projections, plans, and all that. I don't know all that, so I don't mind not knowing it. I'm very open, and I'm spending money on these things, like spending money on those consultants, on office spaces, and all that.
So experiences and learning, 100%. Same. I do exploring the world and experiences, creating experiences, learnings. That's where I spend majority of my money as well. That's the real investment actually.
Same.
Because in the end, my question is not that what I'm getting in return, but in the end, what I'm becoming. So that's the most important thing. That's beautiful. Okay, so you hired and then you started working and with all these brands. So how did you make and when exactly in 1 year did this happen that you made actually 15 crore rupees?
Yeah. To be very honest, it's like it was compounding. Like I would get so much kick out of that, bank transaction and sending that invoice. So first month, I think we did like 10 lakh, 5 lakhs actually. We did 5 lakhs. Second one we did 10, and it started growing. I remember I was told my dad one day that, I made X amount of money. It was the fourth or fifth month. And my dad went berserk. He was like, are you paying taxes? Are you paying GST? He was asking me all that questions back in India. So I think it was a slow compounding. The first 12 months. It was only the 9th or 10th month when I realized that I'm making money which I'd never thought I could. I made a YouTube video, which is a private YouTube video. It's called, the concept is called capsuling videos. It's like if you make video today, you make it for the future you.
Okay.
Like that. So I made a video on December 31st for December 31st of next year that, I wanted to make X amount of money. Like, I don't remember the number, but it was like, let's say 10 rupees. I actually ended up making 75. So there was 7.5x of what I thought. And my first reaction was actually not a sense of, oh, I have so much money. It was actually a sense of, there's so much more that can be done. Because I'm just scratching the surface. So I think a lot of people, unfortunately, don't even realize that, what they're doing, they're just a very, very small part of the overall ecosystem. And they keep doing what they're doing until they retire and still don't realize that
they could have done much more.
Yeah. So I think that was, if I didn't experiment and if I did just what I was asked to in terms of job and this and that, I think that would be the worst thing that could happen, because then I would be just in a trap. I would just keep doing the same thing again and again. And then having a confidence to leaving that thing and starting something of your own, it's hard. So I think from that perspective, I was very fortunate. Even though I did that, but at 21, 22, I don't think leaving a job and doing all that is a big deal. So I do get when people say that at 30, how can I leave my job and start business? At 30, you might realize there's so much money in the world, but then you have so many responsibilities. The risk appetite changes that happen.
I think I strongly believe that if you are doing what you want to do passionately, you're passionate about, and if you're doing that, and if you are making a lot of money or you're making less money, still you're winning in that, because in the end, whatever the money you're getting, that is still man-made, right? Because the time is the part of nature. It's some universal. So time you always trade with. So always trade your time with the most passionate job or the thing you want to do. It's, if it give you less or more, it doesn't matter. You always needs to be, you need to feel that you're adding value in the society, and you're actually, like, as you said, you're not making money to spend on brands and to purchase this and purchase that so you can own this and you can own. You're doing this because it makes you feel happy and it makes you always want to reinvest. It's like it's a game for you and you're playing that game like passionately. You're passionate about it, which is amazing. I think this is the sign of one of the most successful people in this world, and some of the most richest people, if you find, like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, or Elon Musk, or whoever is there. It's like you will find like it's a game. It's like they play around with this, right? For me, it's like more of a transformation game. Like I transform people, and that's like for me, it's like a game. I enjoy it. Like that's why kids, if you have seen, like, kids don't like studying, but they like playing. And some of them actually become, in the future, will become like cricketer, football player, or something or the other, anything, whatever they are passionate about, the most passion, no matter how much you impose the study on them, but they will just never do it. Like, you were doing something else and then you decided to do the business, and because this is your game, this your brain understands this better than just the books, so which is amazing. So at that time, and so young, and I'm sure you must be having friends, and some of the friends which, when you started becoming successful and known, and of course when the money was flowing in, how many of your friends actually changed, or they got back to you and they started connecting with you? Because since in that age, I think everyone want to be with the person who is
Right.
money, who is famous.
True. Yeah, I mean, it did happen. All my college folks and I remember school folks would reach out and all that. But I think I wasn't the best person back in college as well. Like, I was pretty arrogant. Even though I didn't do anything at that time, I was arrogant in college. I remember, so because I was leading societies and all that, I was doing well. I used to remove people from society and all that very, randomly and all that. So because of that, I didn't have a lot of friends as such in college. But that did made me realize that, the value of being humble and the value of not like, I was very disrespectful, to be very honest. And I have no shame in agreeing to it because I've been through it. So now I'm like,
But that's how you have learned.
yeah.
How would you know how to respect people if you were not disrespectful, or someone have not disrespected you? Either you have done that or someone has done to you.
Yeah,
That's how you learn. That's how you know that actually this is fire and is going to burn my hand.
exactly.
Either someone has been through that in front of you, or you have done it yourself.
100%.
There are two ways only. Otherwise, you would never become. That's why either you have been a failure, or you have failed many times, or someone else in front of you have been failed, and you know the pain of it.
Yeah,
That's
a good point.
Then only you can become successful, because before you become the other side of it, you have been on the other side, So if you are this side, you have been on the other side as well.
Correct.
So I think for an example, if I value my sleep the most, because I know how much it requires in order to grow my muscles. If I will not sleep, I will not be able to train properly, because I have experienced that. It's because just by reading in the books will not help. You have to experience it.
True.
So you have to experience the negative in order to value the positive.
Oh,
The people, just for an example, the people who live in the UK, I mean, this is a very funny thing. Whenever I have seen movies, Hollywood movies, oh, what a beautiful sunny day. I was like, really, they appreciate sunny day? I mean, I always wanted the clouds and the rain, because we are from India.
Yeah.
And I mean, in Madhya Pradesh, in Bhopal, I've always wanted, oh wow, what a cloudy day. I mean, why do they say what a sunny day? Because they value that more, because it's always rainy over there in Britain and in England. It's always rainy, it's always gloomy, it's always cloudy, and it's cold. So whenever there is, oh, what a beautiful sunny day.
Yeah.
So you see now,
Good
like
point.
when you actually value it. So this has always been, whenever you have been on the other side, so you respect and value more this side.
Right.
If you have been weak, and if you're strong today, you know how to value and how to protect this strength. If you have been poor, if you have been, like for an example, in your case, you have in your childhood, and when you were living in your home city, Tajpur, yeah, when you were there, and it was all about just education, just study, and you must be having many ideas how to run away from this, how to get away from this, and it became so difficult for you. And when you actually got a chance, you just got out of that and started doing the external things, so that you never get into that again. Yeah. So it's just, that's how that's how our brain works, because I teach people about the mind, and I control the subconscious mind. I teach them how to build your subconscious mind, actually. That's why I say, like, nothing is impossible for you. You can achieve anything and everything only if you understand your brain, how your mind functions. From here onwards, you're very young, and if you actually pay attention how your brain is working, you can go 10 times more than what you are right on, even more than that. There is no limit. If you just understand the patterns, that how your brain is working and how you're reacting to your own brain waves, and the response and the outcome of that. If you can see, okay, the outcome is something what I want, and in the next 1 year, 10 years time, I'm going to grow this much. If I change my efforts, and the outcome will change, and my growth will improve even further. So it's all in now, and it's also what is in now is coming from your previous experiences, like what you did in your business that came from your childhood experiences. So in order to change that, you need to start having experiences now that will change your future efforts, and that future efforts will change the outcome in the future and further future. So you see, this is my understanding with the mind, and how things work. Because as I said, like how you have the business, my thing is like, how can I make you achieve more than what you believe in, and more than how can I transform that journey of yours. Right. It can be physically weight loss journey, muscle building, it can be business, it can be just becoming a better person and living a better life. Anyway, so after that, once you have achieved and you have made, what is going on now, how your company, because I think social media marketing, influencer marketing is, I think, bigger than, it has become bigger than the TV industry, the advertisement industry. This is now, people are more in this. Celebrities who were like actors, who were other performers, the entertainers, they are more on social media than they are doing more on television. Correct. And they're making more money, and their efforts are less and money is more than what it used to be before. So how you're dealing with that now? Because since all the celebrities, the big actors and all that also part of social media now, but you have creators who are not that. So how you are doing better than them, and what is your strategy in this?
Right. I think fairly good point, and very applicable to the Indian context as well. Like TV is big in India, right? Like Dubai, it's not there, but in India, TVCs is still very relevant. But the point is that you need to see where the audience is going. Like the Gen Zs and millennials, like you mentioned, celebrities. Like if you see in India, the Bollywood films are not working for a while now, like 3-4 years. It's not working because the millennials, the Gen Zs, and the audience in general is getting smarter and smarter. They do realize that they don't want to spend time on something which is not value adding. Yeah. Like a Bollywood film where just actors are randomly doing anything and all that doesn't work with my generation or and the next, of course not. They rather spend their time doing something productive, or just if they want to be entertained, they'll watch Netflix and all that. Yeah. I think it's two things. Now, one, they don't want to waste time on these things that doesn't make sense. And number two, there are so many options, like digital, as you mentioned. Like digital is giving competition to, your mainstream TV and mainstream Bollywood movies and all that. So I think in that way, it's not competition, but just sort of, evolution of sorts, because influencers, creators are making celebrities irrelevant, and that's happening because creators, influencers are more relatable. Like you and people like you and me are more relatable to
exactly. We are, the reason to be entertained has changed a lot, right? Because the kind of fun, this and that, the romance that people were looking for, it's there on their fingertips right now on social media, which is very easily accessible. No one would have time 3 hours to go. If something is like really important and the movie is really good, then they will go into it. Apart from that, they will not. That's why I think movie are something will release today, and after 3 days or 5 days or 1 week, it will just go somewhere you will not even realize where it is now. So where audience are connecting with people who are adding more and more value to their life. Correct. How we can help them more and to make them achieve more through our content. So I think the reason to be entertained has changed a lot since the world now, because world is, what I understand, the world has become very small, right? What Elon Musk is doing and how much he has paid for the Twitter. And at this time, if you will show something which is like an actor is dancing near the trees, and like he's living in India and shooting in Switzerland, the song is in Switzerland, everyone knows where Switzerland is and how things are happening, how the whole story is actually compiled in 3 hours. So it's just like the logic which people are looking for, where they connect with people like us more than they are connecting with these big budget movies.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So actually, it's the challenge for them rather than for the creators. In fact, in India, the stat is that the celebrities in India are reducing their fees so that brands spend money on the celebrities as well. Like, because creators are so many and they give results because the engagement with the audience is obviously higher as compared to celebrity who just recently joined Instagram or a Facebook of that matter. So I think now they need to disrupt themselves. Like, they need to become more relatable. So they are creating reels, they are creating content, they are meeting their audience, and the celebrities are becoming creators and creators are becoming celebrities. There's like a transition evolution happening towards the middle now.
The kind of challenges you face with your creators at that time,
Yeah.
because of the celebrity status and all that, what changes have you faced, have you seen in this transition act? So for an example, like if you you have hired, let's say, creators, you started working with them, right? And of course when they started, they may not have been at that stage where they are today, and when they started growing, so how do they maintain their status, and what changes you have seen in them over, like, let's say 6 months or 1 year time? Because I'm sure, like, suddenly they also,
Yeah, I mean,
I am the Shah Rukh Khan.
I'll tell you, like, a lot of creators think they are the shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that happens. I know what you're saying now. So I think at the end, that's our responsibility, as talent managers, as the people who represent them. You know, we constantly tell them to stay grounded, and like we have to make them realize that they have an opportunity in hand to use it in the right way and not just throw that because, you know, just because 10 people come up to you when you're in public. And, you know, that happens a lot in India. Like, people come up to me, people come up to Anushka, Sharon all the time. They're like, photos. So that does go into your head and make you feel, you know, in a bubble that, oh, you are the biggest thing out there. But I think I have been fairly detached to that. So I have been able to tell my creators as well that, boss, keep both the things separate. You are a creator, but at the same time, remember the con. You are probably relevant for 2 to 3 years if you are not reinventing yourself.
Exactly.
Because algorithms will just kill you, and they'll have a newer Anushka or a new Sharon, right? They'll have a new Ayush as well if you don't change with the time. So that is one. And number two, if you don't use the attention to build something else, a business, or, you know, a different startup and all that, you might be dead in like 3 years as a creator. And at that time, you will think 3 years before and like, what did you do with that time, with that attention? And you were just arrogant and rude all the time, which happens with a lot of creators.
So what do you suggest to, like, keep reinventing yourself? How a creator can reinvent?
So I think the good thing that there's this creator, he was into crypto, and he was booming like anything last year because crypto was the talk of the town. Crypto crashed. You know, a lot of companies were down, they got scammed, etc., etc. And this guy was facing the worst period of his time, like for a good 4-5 months. His brand deals went from, like, let's say, $10,000 to $500. That's the slump he saw because the brands paying him died. The attention that he was getting, nobody was interested in crypto. So he would keep creating crypto content, and everybody would comment it, scam, and they'd just go away. So I had so many conversations with him, just explaining him this fact that, bro, you're 22-year-old and you have the gift of depth. You learned crypto, you are an advantage, but now you have to realize that this is not the right time. The right time and the right place has gone by, which is not in your control. You have to reinvent. So now he's creating finance content. Now he's got into personal finance, which is the closest pivot. And the last 1 month, he's again starting to get that, you know, that traction and audience. And now his revenues is flowing in again. But just this mindset acceptance that, oh, I was at zero, then I was at $10,000, and I came back at $500. That they can't accept, which is a mindset thing that you have to say, ki, boss, I was at $10,000, I can go back again. It's not like I'm irrelevant forever. If you work for it, if you reinvent, if you're brave enough, you can go back again. I think that's what I tell them. If they are at that down stage, yeah. And I tell that to myself as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think I tell that to myself as well, because handling this team, maybe I have faced a lot of rejections, and a lot of people actually left because, you know, to creating such a one of the biggest gym in the world at 80,000 square feet, and such, you know, how well equipped it is.
Yeah.
So it was very well, thank you. It was very difficult actually, these like 1.5, 2 years, and to sustain and to not get what I was getting and what I was making when it comes to financial, and accept it, that it's okay. 1.5 year, 2 years, if you're not going to make that money, it's fine. But you see what you're becoming and what you're creating in this. So I think your self-talk is very important. And at that time, from what I believe, the the people who you listen to, you need to have very quality people who give you right advice at that time. If people are saying, oh, you're like failing, you're doing this, I think you should not do this and you should not work with this person and that person, go back and do it. You see that before you were doing this, that's why you were getting such response or such money, do the same thing again. I think that is one of the biggest mistakes which people make, and they never grow again.
Yeah.
Because they just got in that trap of the past, and they're just trapped in their past. Because it's not the material or the financial, it's about what you're becoming, as I said. Like,
Right.
so constantly you have to learn, and you just have to see the quality of your life, how it's improving with money or without money. It can improve without money also at the same time. Yes, maybe you will not be able to afford certain things, but if you keep improving yourself, there will be a time when you will, and you have to keep trying. The way you have tried, suppose for an example, this finance, before you have tried many other things and you have done many other things before, but this clicked and this worked and made you money. Maybe 2 or 3 things will not work next for you, but the fourth one will work, and that will give you again that boost. And so this is a pattern. That's why I think business, as I said, you need to take it like a game.
Yeah.
You're just playing the game. Sometimes you do well, sometimes you will not do well. Not like your life is different. So do not make this like, oh, if it will not do well, you will die. Or now everything is, you have lost and everything. So I think, when it comes to, since you work with many creators, what do you think, what is the future for in this industry, the influencer marketing? What is the future? Because the way it's booming, if you see, I think the trend is changing in every 3 months.
Yeah.
I think maybe even shorter, something like that. I've seen the trend has changed in past, I think, and if I say from the time 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23, I think it's 4 or 5 years, it has changed drastically.
Yeah.
So what is the future now? What's coming next?
I think I was speaking to a fitness creator today only in the morning, based out of India, and I was telling him that I'm in Dubai, I'm meeting you, and I was just talking about TYV and all that, and I was telling you that these are the kind of things that will happen in India by a fitness creator. Just telling that probably you can be the next Yasir Khan of India, building such a big gym and all that.
Yeah.
So I think creators turning into entrepreneurs is a short thing that's happening. Of course, there's a lot of other things which is happening, but I think as creators, you have one thing, which is distribution. And that's the only thing that all the brands in the world want. Like, I started off as a creator, then I built a business around that. So even I'm an example of, creator turning into a entrepreneur. And I think that's the way it's gonna be. For the ones in, the fashion, beauty ones, I think it's about intent. A lot of people they're happy with being creators. So I think that's a natural luck or like deadline they put to themselves, that they are at million followers and making money, they're happy, that's it. They don't want to do something. The rest are like, they want to be in movies, they want to become actors and all that. But I think even that is not a long-term thing. Like, creators are, like, actors are thinking about becoming creators.
I think since you're living in Bombay now, what is the status right now? That because before everyone was struggling to become a hero, but I don't think like it's same anymore. Not everyone is coming in trying to be an actor.
Those days are gone. Like, we used to listen 5 years ago that 10,000 people come to Bombay and like one get to become an actor. Now, if you want to become an actor, you can start creating a profile on the internet, model, show your work, and you would know in 1 year you're an actor working with Shah Rukh Khan.
Yes.
That has happened with so many creators. So many, there's so many new movies. You'll see some famous creator there all the time. Because they also want you, because you are known faces by the audience, right? So it has opened up so many opportunities in all walks of life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So what's your future plan now? What are you trying to do, and what's going on in your mind?
To be honest, I'm figuring it out. I'm still figuring it out. Right now, my objective is to learn about business, because, I see it as an opportunity still. I have a team of 20 people, but I don't know how to deal with them from a sense of, how to optimize them, how to make them win, the KRAs, as I was mentioning you. So there's a lot in the business aspect of thing. I'm learning client relationships. I'm an ambivert, so now I'm learning to be an extrovert. I'm learning to be confident. So I think that's the way I look. I want to take it day by day, and I've been trying to focus on the fitness and health aspect for the longest of times, but I haven't been able to. So I'm thinking of taking a step back now, getting a nutrition, getting a fitness trainer, and just sorting my life, because just a couple of weeks ago I got diagnosed with a heart condition as well.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's called WPW syndrome. It's a by birth defect. It's nothing that happened. It's like you have 6 fingers, so I have an extra nerve in my heart.
Okay.
So I get like, I'm sitting right now with like 86 heart rate and I'll go 200. Suddenly, yeah. Without exercising, without doing anything. So I'm getting that.
And just recently you got to know that.
I just got diagnosed 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So I was getting that again and again. So I like went to a bunch of cardiologists in Bombay. And so it's called WBW. It's a bio thing. And I'm getting a small procedure, and it's not a surgery or operation. So like you'll burn it via EP study. So I'm getting that.
Inshallah, you'll be able to find the cure and you'll be able
100%.
to find how you can.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It's curable. So I'm pretty happy. It's just a 1 hour.
No, you're a very positive human being, and I think in this world we need people like you
Yeah.
to teach us how to how, not just but how to actually do business and how to become like you. So it's like, I think it's a very positive side of you, which is amazing. So, but you don't have any let's say any vision, like any goal that this is what let's say by the time of 30, what would you like to achieve? Because you're too young for that.
Yeah, I am.
You still have like 7 years.
Correct, 30. And I think by the time I'm 30, I honestly optimize for, it's actually correlates with what you mentioned with the podcast, that you train the mind, you train people to become better version of themselves. And that's what I want actually. I want to be the better version of myself. Like even with the health and fitness aspect of it, it's becoming a better version of myself.
Of course.
I think I want to train my mind. I want to train my body. I was listening to this podcast by Sunil Chhetri, he's a Indian football captain, and he mentioned that for sports people, it's not just physical; it's more mental, because they not only they need to be fit, but while the whole world is looking at you, penalty situation, like you're chasing in cricket. It's so much to do with your mental ability rather than your physical abilities, and having that control over your mind. Something, I don't know how it happens. It probably happens by training your mind, by going through that adversity and all that. I feel I need to go through that. I need to train my mind and all that. So that's what I am searching for. And
yeah, definitely.
That's my vision for now.
This I can help you.
For sure, yeah.
Because, as I said, like when it comes to these athletes, it is true that it's not just the physical, but more it's mental. Because especially, it's not just the highs to face, but the lows.
Yeah.
Because both happen. You're not like, suppose if you're a Sachin Tendulkar, you're not going to make century in every match. Oh wow, I'm amazing. But there are times that you will be bowled like with zero, or you have like nothing to prove there. But at that time, how do you face that? And there are like the whole country, the whole nation is like against you at that time. How do you face those situations? And it's very important. Same thing happened when it comes to business also. Like sometimes you'll be like very high. That's like, it's just a game. You need to play it like And when you're low, just feel like, okay, this was not your time. This was or whatever the mistakes you have made. Let's learn from them and move on and grow with that. So I think becoming a better version, that is what you said physically. Becoming a better version physically is the only truth. Because what I believe, if you have, let's say, your business or your money or your status, that can be taken away in a fraction of a second. Something happened, let's say like there is a flood or something, whatever happened, natural disaster is there, or if the thing is gone, whatever you had, whatever you own is over now. But the only thing which will survive, if you live, the only thing which will survive is you, your mind and your body. What is with you? That's the only truth. Because currency changes from country to country. Let's say like US is dollar, over here is dirhams, India is the rupees. All 10, number 10 dollar, number 10 AED, dirhams, number 10 rupees are different, and the value of it is also different. And even the people who are utilizing that, also the reason to utilize that is also different everywhere. It doesn't work. But the currency of nature, that is time, is the same everywhere. It's up to you how you use it, because it's the 10 minutes, the US is also same 10 minutes. Over here is also 10 minutes, and India is also 10 minutes. It will not be defined by the dollars or dirhams or rupees, whatever you call it. It's just 10 minutes. 10 minutes is 10 minutes everywhere. Yeah. That's why that's the currency of nature. And that's the most valuable thing. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, man. And I think it's, there's a lot actually I did not know about businesses, and especially when it comes to content creation and the influencer marketing. Maybe you can help me with that 100% when it comes to my brand. Thank you so much. So Ayush, it was a pleasure talking to you. And you are here in TYB. You have seen the place, and please train hard enjoy your workout over here until you're here in Dubai.
Yeah.
And the T vibe is always there for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, guys.